Hi guys, welcome. Today we're going to talk about your pelvis and we're going to do some stretches and strengthening movements to make you feel better. So if you live a sedentary lifestyle, if you sit with bad posture, you tend to get tight in the lower back and tight in the hip flexors as well. And this usually leads to this pelvic tilt where we feel pain in our lower back. So what we want to do today is work on that and prevent that. So what we're going to start with are these pelvic tilts. So we've got a posterior pelvic tilt, which is where we typically feel that tightness and pain. And then we've got our anterior pelvic tilt where we're in a more neutral position, which is where we want to be. So first things first, we're just going to pelvic tilt. So we're tilting towards your backside. Hip bones are pulling away from the rib cage, and now we're going to tilt forward where our hip bones are pulling up, and we're closing the space between the hip bones and the rib cage. So we're going to stay right here for about 30 to 40 seconds. You can keep your hands on your hips. Good. And we want to keep our rib cage pulled in and focus all the movement right here in that pelvis. Good. Hip bones go down and back. Hip bones come forward. Beautiful. Just breathe. Nice work. All right, up next, still working here. We're doing something that I like to call salsa hips. So I want your feet to be directly under your hips or in pretty close. Right now, both of my knees are extended, which means I'm standing tall and they're locked out. So I'm gonna take one leg and I'm gonna bend it. Here we go, my hip dropped. Now I'm gonna straighten it out and bend the other leg and keep going. So find some fluidity there. And then again, we want all of the work to be happening right here in the hip bones and the pelvic area, and everything else to be nice and still. So I like to keep my hands there as a reminder that we want to look like we're kind of shimmying our hips and doing the salsa dance, but upper body remains nice and still. Again, we're gonna hang out here for about 30 seconds or so. Good, and just try and focus on that hip shift. One hip's coming closer to the rib cage while the other one shifts away from it. Good. Just getting the joints nice and loose. And then we're gonna shift into some stretches. Good stuff, you guys. So up next, we're gonna start working on our hip flexors, which are the guys right here. They're our reason for walking. They're our reason for picking our legs up. And they tend to get tight because we're always in that seated position. So what we wanna do is stretch them out. So let's go ahead and go down to the ground. We're gonna be in a seated lunge. So my knee is gonna be lined up underneath my hip. The other knee is stacked on top of my ankle, so I have an approximate 90-degree angle in the knee. From here, I wanna tuck my pelvis. So I want an anterior pelvic tilt. So I'm trying to bring this rib and this hip closer together. Good. And then I want to hold that position. This might be enough stretch for you. If you're feeling some stretch there, you can stay here, hold it and breathe. If you need a little bit more, we're going to shift forward. So I'm leaning into this knee, but I'm being careful to keep that hip bone driving forward. Don't let it fall back behind me. So it's not a big range of motion. It's pretty small, but we're going to hold it here and breathe. Good. I'm feeling a nice stretch right here, right in front of the leg. Good. And you'll probably have a little glute activation there. Totally fine. We love that. Good. We're gonna take it a little bit deeper now. So I'm gonna take the same side arm with the knee that's down. I'm gonna reach it straight up to the sky. Good. And now I'm gonna reach it over to my opposite side with just a slight side bend. It's not a big bend. Good. Remember, everybody feels a little bit different. Hold it here and don't push into pain. We want to stretch, but we don't want to hurt ourselves. This is a nice, gentle movement just to feel that muscle. Good. Let's come back to our neutral position. Take a few seconds to breathe, and we're going to take that stretch just a little bit deeper once again. Good. So again, make sure you've still got that tilt. Hip bones are coming up towards the rib cage. Let's bring the hands up in front of the chest, elbows out to the side, and then let's rotate in the opposite direction. Good, for a nice twist. Good, again, you should feel this right in this hip zone, maybe into the quad just a little bit. Beautiful. And come back to neutral. One more thing, we're gonna drop our hands to the ground inside of our foot. Good. And then we're gonna extend this knee. We're gonna reach it back behind us a little bit deeper. So we're lengthening that base leg. Good. And then we wanna go ahead and let the hips sink and breathe. I want your chest open and proud, and I want your eyes forward. We're gonna hold it here and take some nice deep breaths. We're getting nice and deep into that hip flexor right now. Good. From here, we're gonna push back into child's pose and stretch out our lower back. So I'm gonna keep my hands grounded. I'm gonna start to shift my hips back and bring my knees back underneath my hips. And then I'm gonna open my knees up a little bit wider, push my butt back to my heels, and now I'm gonna reach my hands forward as far as I can and drop your ears between your arms. Take a nice deep breath, let your chest sink towards the ground. Good. Let's take about 3 deep breaths here, and then we'll stretch it out a little bit more and intensify it. So be sure that you've got enough room between your knees for your torso to fall towards the ground. It doesn't need to touch, we just want some range. Good. Now walk your fingertips slightly forward. Good. And now start to walk over to one side. Good, both hands walk to the other side. Keep the chest low to the mat. Let's take a nice deep breath here. And let's walk it all the way to the other side. Nice deep breath. Excellent, let's come back up to neutral. We're gonna hit the other side, same thing. So, other knee is grounded now. Good, 90-90. We want the nice stack here with the ankle under the knee. And here we go. Neutral hips right now. Let's tuck. Beautiful. There's that pelvic tilt that we're looking for. If this is your best stretch, hold it here and breathe. If you need a little bit more, come with me. I'm gonna shift slightly forward in towards my knee. Good. And again, it's a small range of motion. We're not trying to get super far because that's when we lose our hip and it gets behind us. And we want this hip to stay nice and square with the other hip. Good, just breathe right here. Excellent, let's come back up to our neutral position. Keep that tilt, keep that pelvic tilt. Reach the same side arm up nice and tall, get tall, and then we're gonna side bend in the opposite direction. Again, this is gentle. We're not going super far. I'm not trying to touch the wall behind me. I just wanna feel that stretch and I wanna be able to breathe through it. So if you're holding your breath, pull back just a little bit, maybe lengthen back up and just hold this stretch up nice and tall. Good, we have lots of options for whatever level your body's at right now. Good. Let's come back to neutral. Hands in front of the chest, elbows out to the side, and we're gonna rotate in the opposite direction into whatever range you have available in your body. Good, let's come back to neutral. Both hands are coming down to the ground, inside of that foot, and now we're gonna lengthen that back leg, and you can drop your knee to the ground, keep it nice and grounded. We just want a long leg, so that again, we can feel that stretch down the hip flexor and probably into the front of your leg as well. Remember, chest is proud, eyes are forward. Take some nice deep breaths right here. Good, we're gonna step back into that child's pose one more time. So knees nice and wide, you can untuck your toes, sit your butt down to your heels, and palms reach forward, and relax and take a nice inhale. Big exhale, let your chest fall towards the ground. You can rest your head on the ground if it feels good to you. And now inch your fingertips a little further away. And let's walk it to one side, both hands traveling, keeping the chest low to the ground. When you feel that stretch down that side of the body, go ahead and relax and take a nice deep breath. And walk it to the other side, same thing. Good, let's bring it back to neutral. All right, so we've got a little bit of strength work to help correct this the posterior pelvic tilt that tends to happen. We're gonna strengthen the abs. Again, our goal is to pull hip bones towards rib cage, so we need to strengthen those muscles there. What we're gonna do is a plank with that anterior pelvic tilt. Good. So we're going to go plank on your hands or your forearms. It's your choice. I'm going to go from my hands in this first round. It's a little bit easier than being on the forearms because we're less close to the ground. We're going to step back. We're going to draw that straight line from shoulders to hips to ankles. So we don't want to be here once we hit our plank position. We want to tuck the hips towards the ground or towards the rib cage. All right? So here we go, guys. Go ahead and set up your plank. Nice neutral position, pull your shoulders away from your ears and tuck the pelvis. Good. This is also going to turn on some glute engagement and you'll feel your abdominal muscles start to fire up. We're going to hold this for approximately 20 seconds. Good, and be sure you're breathing. Don't let your head hang down. You should be looking just above your fingertips. Beautiful work, and go ahead and bring your knees to the ground gently. Nicely done. Now we're going to go into some glute bridges, so we're just going to turn over. When we go into our glute bridges, our goal is to have our ankle close to being underneath our knees. So we don't want it to be stretched out and away from the knees. We want it to support the knees. So pull your heels in close to your glutes. We're going to lay down here. Good. And from here, we're going to start to curl the hip bones towards the rib cage, and then we're going to lift up, pressing through the heels. We're going to hold this for a 2 count. Good. And then we're going to roll back down with control. Nice work, you guys. Press up again through the heels. Keep the hip bones tilted towards the rib cage. Good. And come back down slow and controlled. Here we go again. And down. And up. And down. I like to keep my fingertips on my hip bones just as a reminder to keep them nice and close to my rib cage. Good. And up. And down. Good, let's hit 2 more. If you want to put your palms on the ground, you're welcome to. If you want to keep your elbows driving into the ground here, that works as well. Hold. Good, and let's lower. Excellent. Let's come back around. We're going to hit that plank again. Here we go. I'm going to stay on my hands for this plank. Get ready with one leg extended. Think about that straight line you're drawing. Here we go. Lift up. You guys can go with wider feet in your plank. Focus on that pelvic tilt. Feel those abdominal muscles turn on, and then breathe. We've got our glutes tight, and we've got our abs tight, and we've got that tilt going on. Good. Nice work, you guys. We're almost there. Keep breathing. Keep holding. And think about pulling your belly button into the spine, nice and tight. Good. Here we go. Go ahead and softly lower the knees down to the ground. We're going to transition again for one more round of those glute bridges. So here we go. Bring in the heels nice and close and tuck the hip bones towards the rib cage and drive up and hold. Nice, guys. And down. Again, lift and hold. Beautiful. And down. Lift and hold. Down. Pulse the ground. Don't land. Don't rest down there. It's a quick tap and go. Here we go again. We've got 5 more of these. That's 5. And down. 4. Hold for that 2 count. Tap the ground. 3. And down. 2. And down. Here's our last one. Drive up through the heels. Hold for that 2 count. Lower with control. And there you have it, you guys. Nice work today. I hope those hips are feeling nice and smooth. And have a great day.